the affairs of the opposition coalition after one of his principals, that is ODM leader Raila Odinga, joined the government following the 2018 truce with President Kenyatta. Now they say that they want the NASA to be dissolved once and for all. I will tell you more on that, but first of all, let me give it to Doreen to take a look at what's happening on the People Daily.
Yes, I'll be taking a look at what is happening in the PD as well as the Standard newspaper. But on the front page of the People's Daily, recovering Pope leads prayers from Rome hospital balcony. I'll be giving details of that in a short while, and actually why he has to lead prayers from the hospital balcony. On the sidebar of the same paper, no trace as hunt for Kangongo enters week 2. You can remember that late last week there was a lady who was shot because of the resemblance that perhaps they had there, but you know, this just gets into week 2 and still there's no trace of the killer cop there. Still on the front page of the same paper, nomination tests for the Big Four, where it just continues to say that it's actually a delicate balancing act as DP Ruto and opposition chiefs Raila, Kalonzo and Mudavadi seek to reward ardent supporters and also ensure democracy prevails in their parties as nominations for key positions beckon ahead of next year's general election, which is just 13 months away. Again, away from matters politics, coming to the same sidebar of the same paper. If you can remember the bill that had been proposed by Adan Duale in regards to sending nudes, it just further on says that this may actually land you in jail for 25 years, and this bill proposed by Garissa Town MP Duale also sets fine of 25 million for that particular offense. So again, that just brings to the fact that I'll be telling you more of that particular article and, you know, perhaps what may actually end up landing you in jail for that kind of offense. Now let's come to matters COVID-19, and again I'll be telling you how Indians are fighting COVID with cow dung. So if you thought it's only AstraZeneca and the Pfizer vaccine, Victor, that can help people fight COVID-19, there's also cow dung, which Indians are using to fight COVID-19. Now let's come to the Standard newspaper. Very quickly on the front page of the same paper, it's 500 million for Uhuru, Raila parties, just the same as how the PD had quite highlighted there, where political parties funding low comes under sharp focus after only Jubilee and Orange Party share millions in state cash, locking out all other smaller parties after they failed to achieve the threshold to unlock support. Again, this just continues to unpacking for us how perhaps 2022 general elections will be looking like, which are the most dominant parties, and perhaps what it means for those parties as we gear on for the next general elections. Big shots, I prize with or without a BBI. So we still are continuing with the Constitution Amendment Bill, that is the BBI. Away from that, still on the same front page of the Standard newspaper, actually this is quite an interesting article because it takes, if I can mention, a bigger chunk of the Standard this morning from page 10 up till page 12, and this in regards to Boniface Mwangi, who says we know the Kenya we want. Just a slight bite from what he's saying there is that some would consider activist Boniface Mwangi noisy and a nuisance. At 38, he is unbridled, full of youthful energy, restless, impatient, and prone to taking uncalculated risks. So the article highlights, you know, what he says from an activist point of view and the kind of Kenya that he wants, and I will tell you more of that in just a short while.
All right, and still on the Standard, before I go to the Star newspaper, secrets of Jubilee and ODM power sharing scheme. Okay, now the two outfits are keen to ensure that they're the only key negotiating parties in the proposed broad coalition, and a push for Jubilee and ODM to be designated senior partners in the proposed coalition, with other parties joining through either of the two sides could trigger a feud. ODM is reportedly keen on this arrangement that essentially elevates the two as first among equals in the anticipated broad-based coalition, arguing that, after all, it is President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga's 2018 truce being transformed into an alliance. Now, part of the motivation for this move is to narrow the power-sharing bargaining to only the two sides, a case whose proponents say that is made stronger by the realization of the few posts on offer given the uncertainty around the Building Bridges Initiative quest to expand the executive. So it is a talk that is ongoing right now, and how it's going to pan out is just a matter of wait and see. Now, Ruto answers Uhuru on Hustler campaign. DP says that he helped Mr. Kenyatta to win the presidency twice, and now is the time to help hustlers. So Deputy President William Ruto yesterday answered President Uhuru Kenyatta, asking him to allow him to work for the hustlers in defense of his campaign slogan that has agitated rivals. Now, days after the president had praised ODM leader Raila Odinga and Wiper's Kalonzo Musyoka for their support of infrastructure development, unlike other unnamed leaders who were only hoodwinking the youth, Dr. Ruto fired back, saying that he had helped Mr. Kenyatta to win the presidency twice, and now it is his time to help the hustlers. So this is it. And let me quote what Dr. William Ruto said. We're looking for the day when we will not be taking thousands or millions of shillings, but when we will take billions to church. That's a good quote there. That's a good quote. It's called politics. It's good to call politics. So, and in the game of politics, it's just about how you mudslaying your opponent. That's how you gain your momentum and your ground. So that is politics, and they know how they play this game. All right. So Jubilee UDA clash as police cancel parallel meetings in Kiambaa. That happened yesterday. Jubilee and United Democratic Alliance leaders yesterday engaged in a war of words following the cancellation of a rally and a parallel political meeting in Kiambaa constituency by election, that was by police. UDA claimed that it had initially booked Karuri Primary School grounds for a football tournament to popularize its candidate for the parliamentary seat, Mr. John Wanjigi. But Jubilee too said that it had secured the venue and even erected tents only for their rivals to schedule their campaign event at the same place, prompting authorities to cancel the whole of that activity. Of course, the by-election is just 4 days away. Yeah. On Thursday? Yes. I think this is going to be one of those interesting by-elections, you know, being termed as a Titans race between Jubilee and UDA. Yes. And yes, you've seen the DP trying to really make inroads in most parts of the country. And we saw that also in the western part of the country where there was Matungu by-election and Kabuchai. And at least there was some other different political parties. But on this specific one, it's actually just Jubilee versus UDA. Who will take who will take it? And some people say that it will be so embarrassing for the president to lose because that is his backyard, considered to be his backyard. And UDA has really tried to make inroads. And we cannot ignore that fact. We can't ignore that because any political party is capable of making a win in any constituency. So the president is not asleep, and UDA is also making some inroads, and it's interesting. I mean, they're politicians, and the more you campaign for your candidate, you have to lure. And for William Ruto, it is his time to popularize the UDA party. Jubilee is also here. I mean, and also from the inroads that he's been making, I mean, just look at what the recently Juja concluded by elections there. So we saw one of the party affiliated to UDA bagging the seat. So clearly this is why perhaps you're saying this is going to be looked at as one of those interesting by elections just before we get to the 2022 general elections. Exactly. Right. Litmus test for the president there and the UDA party as well. What do you have, Louis? I want to go to that article about how Indians are fighting COVID-19 using cow dung. You can remember that again also sometime if I can mention early mid this year, where there was that what we call the Indian variant, and COVID-19 had really struck that particular country. So just listen to this. With the COVID wreaking havoc all over India, desperate locals in the western state of Gujarat are said to be covering themselves in cow manure and urine, believing it will help prevent infection. The cow is a sacred animal in Hinduism, and coated in cow dung, residents pray to herds of cattle for immunity. Doctors have been urging people to end the practice, saying there is no evidence to support this alternative therapy. They warn that by smearing feces over their bodies, people are at risk of spreading other diseases. I mean, Victor, let me just bring you on into this. Have we gotten to that point where, in as much as yes, COVID is something that we are all battling, as a globe, that we are looking for any alternative measure? Just from this particular article, we understand how cows are important in the Hindu culture. Exactly. So is this a reason as to why they would imagine that feces, because this is like our God, sort of to speak, it had to save? Well,
because now coming down to Africa, I mean,
yeah.
the way Indians could use this cow dung, I mean the feces and all of that, coming down back to Africa, we had the notion of the concoction, mixture of ginger, garlic, lemon, and we believed.
I think we just have to rely on what science is telling us. People said that, you know, you'll get that concoction of ginger, garlic, hot water, honey, and what have you. But science has not proven that it's effective. So. Well, we can gamble with so many options around there, but because coronavirus is tuseme tu ni kichwa ngumu.
Imetufikisha hapo yani.
Ni kichwa ngumu. So whichever way you look at it, we'll have to depend on what scientists are telling us. And
because it's a new disease.
It is. And even most scientists are also struggling even to get that effective vaccine and, you know, the overall cure of this virus once and for all.
True.
It's like a common cold, but it's that stubborn common cold.
So stick to science.
Leave
alone this culture.
Stick to science. I mean, even our grandmothers in the village who would use, you know, the traditional herbs. Mkai tu kutarube msitulete kitu. But they used to, you know, those people in the village, you know, our old people in the village, they would use some funny concoction and some, you know, to cure, you know, stomach ache and all that. So, exactly. So that's what's happening. Let's stick to science, okay? Let's take a look at what's happening on the Star newspaper. Now we have Musalia plays hard to get in Uhuru unity bid. Now Kalonzo's relationship with Raila is thawing. A deal is possible to face DP Ruto. All right. Allies want ANC chief to walk out of NASA, saying that it has outlived its purpose. Mother denies. That is on the front page of the Star newspaper. Musalia plays hard to get in Uhuru unity bid. We have got Kalonzo's relationship with Raila's is thawing. A deal is possible to face DP Ruto. That is on the front page of the Star newspaper. Now this is it. Inside Uhuru's strategy to leave a mark in every region. And of course, last week the president was in Ukambani, you know, inspecting some of the development projects that is in Thwake Dam as well as the Konza Techno City there. That is the president's strategy to leave a mark in every region of all the projects that he had started. So let's continue with that. Mother denies suicide theory after receiving daughter's body. Saudi Arabia killing, that's the Saudi Arabia killing. And over the weekend, some of the bodies arrived at the JKIA after, you know, they died they lost their lives in Saudi Arabia, where they went in search of green pastures. Okay. So there's a story here of shock as sad snake visits to mourn friend in Baringo. I will tell you that story, how that happened in Baringo. It's allegedly that the man who died was an expert in catching snakes and, you know, milking their venom. And when the person died, a python appeared from the man's house. So I'll give you more details of that story. Now, Jubilee mobilizes resources in do or die campaigns ahead of Kiambaa by-election that is slated for Thursday. All right. So this is it. Committed suicide in Saudi Arabia? Not our girl. That's according to the family. Kisii University students sought employment to be able to complete her course. Now, Ruth Akiri had many times pictured her first visit to an airport, but once did it occur to her it would be to receive the remains of her daughter. All right, so it's a tough situation there for the families. So police officer Kangogo still on the run a week later, and now multi-agency teams have split and moved to Nakuru and Eldoret and the environments where they believe that their wanted colleague Corporal Caroline Kangogo might be hiding. The officers, however, said that there was no sure indication rather that she is in those places. And now the officers want her to face charges, but they fear a physical confrontation may lead to deaths on both sides. This is because she is a sharpshooter and may decide to go down with those out to arrest her if it reaches that level. Now she's on the run, and that she has, resulted in great public fear. And a licensed gun holder shot and wounded a woman in Kiminini on fears that she was Kangogo. This story has just led to an outcry and an uproar among the citizens, saying that anybody called, Chimutai, the lady was shot and got injured in the abdomen of the weekend, sometimes last week. That's on suspicion that she was, the alleged police officer who is being sought by the authorities. So that is what's there. Now, there's that story of grief-stricken snake visits to mourn friend in Baringo. Now, python passed through man's grave, slithered into his empty bed, and slept. Okay, I had to take a break on that. A breather. Now, a mourning snake. That is what the Paz family of an old man who died last month in Baringo North has concluded. Now, Ewoy Nakorot, a renowned snake handler, died on June 30th in Kampi Yasamaki village, aged 86 years. He was buried on Thursday. So the story says, now the following night, a humongous python emerged from the thickets around his mud-walled house and slithered into his bed. Now, the bizarre incident has left the villagers scratching their heads in bewilderment. Said that my husband died after short illness on June 30th, that is according to the wife, and we buried him on Thursday. The snake visited us on Friday around 11 p.m. 11 p.m. Now, she said that the family did not try to chase away or kill the reptile, adding that, quote unquote, we believe it was just decided to visit and mourn its late friend. Okay, I leave it at that point. Okay, so, all right, so we have got that story here inside Uhuru's strategy to leave a mark in every region before retirement. President Uhuru Kenyatta and his think tanks have decided and designed a strategy to implement at least one mega infrastructure project in every region before he leaves office, that is next year. The head of state has personally hit the road inspecting the process and the progress of the multi-billion shillings projects and commissioning and launching some a year to the end of his tenure in an effort to cement his legacy and ward off criticism, including from his deputy William Ruto, that his administration is not doing enough to transform Kenya. Uhuru is pushing for the completion of mega projects before his term ends. So part of the president's projects are, in the region we have got Nairobi Express Highway, that is the Uhuru Highway, Wayaki Way. We also have the Eastern Thwake Dam, Kibwezi, Mutomo Road, Konza, Technopolis, and Moyale one-stop border station, as well as the SGR. We have got that SGR heading to Mount Kenya, the Kenol, Makutano, Tharakanithi Highway, and Marua as well. We have got in Western Kenya, we have got Kisumu Port, Kenya Shipyard Limited, the Siaya Bond Water Project, and Akala Wagai Road. And in Coast Region as well, we have got Lamu Port, Dogo Kundu Bypass, Liwatoni Bridge in Mombasa. And in Northeastern, Isiolo Mandera Road and Merile Marsabit Road. And in Rift Valley, we have construction of Eldoret Town Bypass, Rironi Nakuru, na Mau Summit Dual Carriageway. We have got Kapchoria, Swam, Kitali Road, Naivasha, Njambini Road, as well as upgrading of Lodwa, Lokia, Changamatak Road in northeastern part of Kenya. All right. So let's continue with that. So this is it. Musalia plays hardball in Uhuru Raila poll deal. Kalonzo's relationship with ODM leader is thawing as and a pact is possible. And of course, last week when President Uhuru Kenyatta was in Ukambani region, we saw Raila Odinga making an announced visit and accompanying President Uhuru Kenyatta to Ukambani to inspect the Thwake Dam as well as the concert Technopolis, and that did not go well with some politicians. That's according to the analysts, saying that the president went there on his capacity and ODM Raila Odinga get crushed. That's according to some of the politicians allied to Wiper Kalonzo Musyoka, who saying that ODM leader Raila Odinga was not invited, and he was there as a gate crusher at that particular event. So this is it. So the proposed law was introduced in the House for first reading. This is it. And bill to resolve county border disputes revived by senators. I will tell you more on that proposed law, which was introduced in the House for the first reading, slated for Tuesday. That is tomorrow. All right. At that point, I think it's that particular point that we need to take a break, and we'll be right back with more after this. Stay tuned.
Nissan Serena ndio hii, na unaweza kuwa wewe ndio tunapikia simu. Kodi ya Nissan Serena ni NS, alafu kisha kwenye amount ni 50 bob. Hii Nissan Serena tunakupatia na shilingi 50.
Kujiunga na QuickBid ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill, kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bidi yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16, kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bidi yako pia kwenye www.quickbid.co.ke. Kumbuka, bidi ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio hununua. QuickBid, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
The lush pasture in the north will be the new home for these 10,000 warhorses.
The man you want me to get rid of would be Prince Jin, correct?
Although he may suspect me somewhat, now our priority is to ease all of his suspicions.
Yo, mambo vipi watu wangu popote pale mlipo, nasema asanteni sana jamaa kwa kujiunga na mimi kila wakati kupitia kipindi Top Mashariki kupitia Channel 1, au sio? Nambari 1 mtu wangu nchini Kenya, KBC. Kama vipi mtu wangu, nasema asanteni sana jamaa. Kumbukeni kwamba Top Mashariki kuanzia hii wiki, yani this coming week mazee, itakuwa inakujia kila siku ya Jumanne saa 4 usiku. Yani katika mpango mzima ni Jumanne kuanzia saa 4 usiku. Top
amarte de una forma diferente, de otro modo.
Please tell me the truth before I go crazy. Even if Juliana tells me that she's okay, I know that there's something wrong. I just know it. This coffee field has the plague.
No. That is not something that can't be fixed.
Don't you try and fool me, Ulysses.
I would never do that.
I would like for her and Jose to go and live in my house.
What? You want Genoveva and Jose to live in the same house where you lived with me and my mother?
Something has happened in the Star Zone.
Why? What happened?
It's on fire!
What?
De una forma diferente, de otro modo, nunca igual al de otra gente.
Welcome back to the program. This is Good Morning Kenya. Now, before we embark on our first conversation this morning, time to again check how our roads are looking like in terms of traffic. We're still looking at what is happening around Uhuru Highway, and this is because, like I'd mentioned to you earlier, it's one of those busy highways, given the fact that it branches off two major roundabouts from the University roundabout to Kenyatta Avenue to the Haile Selassie Avenue roundabout, and going all the way up to the Nyayo Stadium roundabout as you head over to Mombasa Road. You can remember that earlier on, at least along in between, this was the Haile Selassie Avenue roundabout to Bunyala roundabout. There was heavy kind of traffic moving at a very slow pace, and on some other parts not moving at all, just at a standstill. So again, just to run you through the difference in colors, because this is what you're about to see, especially in this time of the morning hour, the difference in the cocktail of colors there, from the maroon to the red to the orange there. So where you're seeing the maroon is just a clear indicator of heavy kind of gridlock, not moving at a standstill. That is what is always described as just a parking lot, not moving at all. Where you're seeing the red color is a clear indicator of heavy kind of gridlock, moving at a very slow pace, and this is what is being characterized around the Bunyala roundabout. Where you're seeing the orange color is again an indicator of traffic beginning to slightly build up, but at least a manageable kind of traffic there. And actually around the Bunyala roundabout is just a difference of all of that, especially as you leave areas around the Bunyala road, coming all the way to the roundabout on that section, heavy kind of traffic, moving at a very slow pace, hence that red color. As you branch off from the roundabout, coming through Uhuru Highway before you get to the Haile Selassie Avenue roundabout, still again heavy kind of gridlock there, moving at a very slow pace. In fact, on some sections not moving at all, just at a standstill there. This continues all the way up to the Haile Selassie Avenue roundabout. Again, also one of those busy roundabouts. In fact, major parts along Uhuru Highway have just been closed. This is to necessitate that construction of the expressway. But at least just before you get to the Haile Selassie Avenue roundabout, on that section again in between Bunyala and the Haile Selassie, just before you get to the roundabout, looks like things are opening up just a bit. So again, it simply means if at all you're coming from areas along Mombasa Road, could be Enterprise, all the way from Embakasi coming to the city center, then again where you'll just have to make do with the heavy kind of traffic is specifically around this roundabouts. But at least past the roundabouts coming through Uhuru Highway, not so bad, moving at a pretty fast pace there. Again, where you get to be the heavy kind of gridlock is also as you near the roundabout. But again, this is the analogy. When you get to major roundabouts, and the reason as to why there's usually heavy kind of traffic around major roundabouts is just simply because roundabouts either branches off to major roads or slip roads. These are roads that join you to either a major road or a major highway. Case in point is this route as you leave the roundabout, the Haile Selassie Avenue roundabout, as you go all the way to the city center, and also as you leave areas around this is areas around Valley Road. If at all you're coming through the lane of Kenyatta coming to the city center via the Haile Selassie there, that is one of those major roads there. So clearly this is again why you would see heavy kind of traffic mostly around major roundabouts, simply because of that fact that it either branches off to major roads or slip roads. And this is just how the Bunyala roundabout also clearly looks like in terms of traffic. Just the same also is being witnessed around the Haile Selassie Avenue roundabout. So clearly again heavy kind of traffic there, but past there as you head over to Kenyatta Avenue, not so bad. In fact, it's quite interesting because on that lane that is coming to the city center via Uhuru Highway, as you get to Kenyatta Avenue, moving at a very fast pace, just as you leave the roundabout is where you begin to spot a bit of a traffic, but at least altogether manageable kind of traffic on the other section, which is again one of those interesting things, because on this other lane where it's actually leaving city center, coming as you head over to the estates via the major roundabouts, is where you wouldn't expect to see traffic, but ultimately it's just where there's really heavy kind of traffic moving at a very slow pace. But again, one of the things I can mention is that along this roundabouts, or around this roundabouts rather, especially in this early morning hour, I can tell you for sure that traffic police are always stationed to try and see how best they can control traffic. So perhaps in the next an hour or so, we expect things to have changed and moving at a very, very fast pace. But this is how it's looking like in terms of traffic this morning, especially along Uhuru Highway, in between most of these major roundabouts. But just as I'm scrolling through, I'm seeing that things are just changing just a bit. And yes, traffic is still being witnessed there, but at least it's opening up. So again, a manageable kind of traffic. And this is why we're seeing that orange color. So it just means that this is one of those routes that will just stick around to see how it's be looking like in terms of traffic, to try and see if at all things will change, try and see if at all we'll look at alternative routes, or it will just remain the same as it is when it comes to the heavy kind of traffic being witnessed along Uhuru Highway.
All right, thank you, Doreen, for that traffic update. Now, from Net newspaper in the headlines, from traffic, and now let's talk about something that's affecting all of us. Let's talk about real estate, okay? It's every person's dream to own a home or a house, whichever part of the country you live in, either in abroad or at home. But that particular industry has gone, has gained some growth, and at the same time has got some dips at that particular point. So let's talk about real estate briefly and see how it's going and how we should expect that particular industry to grow and how you as a Kenyan can also gain from it. So with me here, I have one lady called Yvonne Ondego, who is a project manager and real estate analyst at the Superior Homes in Kenya. Welcome to the show, Yvonne.
Thank you, Victor.
It's a cold morning in Nairobi. I'm shocked you're not dressed warmly. Why so?
I'm dressed just as you are.
No.
Yeah.
I was in a jacket by the time I was coming here, in a jumper.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Let's start by asking this question. How is the real estate doing currently?
Well, with the onset of COVID,
yes,
the industry has really struggled.
Yeah.
But I'd say overall, real estate is one of the best performing sectors of the economy in terms of the asset class offers higher returns as compared to the other financial instruments. So overall, it's been performing well, only that there've been those setbacks because of the pandemic.
And when talk of pandemic, what are some of the challenges that you face? People are not taking up some of these facilities that we have around.
Well, our real estate sector is backed by cash.
Yes.
A lot of the people prefer to pay cash either through installments or take up the units in cash.
Yeah.
So with the pandemic, there's been obviously a strain in cash flows. Guys are not making payments on time. People are forfeiting their units. Yeah, so that's why as you walk around, you'll probably see that uptick doesn't look as good as it usually does. There are a lot of vacant houses. The developers are struggling to make their bank payments.
Yeah.
Yes, but generally, we can already see other sectors already improving, like the stock market. There have been dips, but there are improvements, and we expect that the real estate industry will recover.
Does this really worry you, the trend?
Well, I'd say it is a bit worrying, yes.
Yeah.
But the pandemic affected a lot of
most industries really
yes,
suffered.
They affected most industries.
Yeah.
So it's just something that we have to take in stride. Just make some adjustments, and then we expect recovery.
You said a point. Anytime you walk around Nairobi, you'd see. In fact, somebody will say that this is the best time for you to start looking for a house hunting, as they put. And you made a house hunting. What has caused this? COVID-19. Are we seeing a situation that this particular point will, when somebody was paying a rent of, let's say 35,000 shillings, then it will have to take a dip to some point from 35 to 30,000 or maybe to 20-something thousand. Is that what the industry is trying to focus on right now?
Well, you see, people need to make their payments to the bank.
Yes.
Yeah? So in your position, I think the case is whether you'll accept lower rents or maybe you'll give discounts so that the uptake for your units increase so that you're able to at least make your interest payments and then settle your loan. So that's what is happening. That's why there have been those dips in prices, because you need to sustain your business.
Yeah. What do Kenyans go for? Rentals or buying an apartment to live in, or somebody would decide, I'm going to build a home somewhere and live? What do Kenyans prefer? Mostly Nairobians. Let me just take the Nairobians first.
I'd say what Kenyans prefer depends on what the money that they have available in their pocket.
Yes.
I might wish to have a villa somewhere, but honestly, if I look at my cash flows, what I'm able to afford is maybe an apartment, say in Kilimani, or an apartment in Umoja. But there have been shifts in trends where previously people would prefer to own standalone houses, but we are currently seeing changes such that people now prefer to own apartments. Apartments are now not strictly for rental purposes only, but they're now considered homes, and developers are now making efforts to make these comprehensive developments such that they give you a community. You have your house, then they provide playing grounds for your children, your schools, etc. We're also seeing a shift in trends such that people now prefer to live in master planned communities where you can have your standalone apartment, or you can standalone house, or you can have an apartment, but you're in that community setup where you have a live, work and play environment. I'll give you an example. For example, developments by Superior Homes that are focusing on master planned communities. So you don't really have to go outside of the community for you to access a retail component, for you to access a school. It's one stop shop.
There is this kind of calculation that somebody would put in his or her head. Do I have to build a house, an apartment, or buy already built? Which is the cheapest? Okay, from a layman's point of view, maybe say you have something like 5 million. So which one would one go for?
I think it just depends on the person really, because there are people who don't want that headache of managing a contractor, having a foreman, and following up on the little things. They just want to come and see a complete house that has been done to their taste and preference. There are people who now are thinking of cost saving and would prefer to scrutinize each and every cent that is going into the development. So such a person would prefer to build. There are people who are very particular about the kind of finishes that they want to do, even if they do it over time. So such a person would again prefer to build by themselves, but if they don't, then they'd be looking and scrutinizing what developers have in the market and seeing, they'd be very particular about what is there.
Yvonne, we've seen and we've had so many stories of people getting swindled. You hear people contribute and get an off-plan kind of houses. You contribute, and then all of a sudden you get stories that the kind of project that you're looking for did not take off, or the management company has decided to go underground with your money. How do Kenyans get to understand or properly get to trust such kind of companies so that they don't get swindled? Because it's a problem that's happening even as we speak. There's some company out there which has a case running from around the country with the investors.
That happens a lot, but I'd say due diligence is very important. Before you buy your house off plan, you need to request for documents such as the title deed. You need to make an effort to visit the site. If you're a risk taker, then obviously you will wait until there's something on ground for you to commit. Obviously you'd wait for before. You'd wait before something is on ground, and then you commit. But for those who don't like taking risks, you wait for the developer to develop up to a certain stage, and that's the point where you will commit. So due diligence is important. I think it depends on your risk appetite also. That is what will protect you.
But it's something that has been going on. Is this a recurring kind of problem that we lose money? People lose money, millions for that matter.
It's important to go for someone with a track record. Everyone, the companies that will be cropping up probably don't know what they have been doing, new companies. So if you're not trusting and you'd like to safeguard your money, then you go for someone with a track record. The developers all over that have at least established that track record over a period of time. So those are the people you'd be going for.
What is the growth trajectory of the real estate in the last couple of years? There's that performance index, the growth and the highs and the lows. How has it been, that graph, for the last, let me just say 2-3 years, 5?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd say it was increasing. The trajectory was an upwards projection, but because of the challenges we have discussing, then they've been that deep. But again, we expect the economy to recover and to just see that upwards trend again. Yeah.
And of course, when you talk about the upward trend, there is this particular situation where you expect Kenyans to start going for the low-cost kind of apartments, and the issue of COVID-19 has completely flattened almost everyone around the country. What would you advise someone who is planning to, just to have an apartment or a home or a place to live in? How would you advise such a person to, when starting that kind of a project, how would someone attack that particular procedure from the point of origin until the end?
Okay.
Yeah.
So the point where you want to own an apartment.
Yes.
So the ownership process. So number one, as we discussed, do due diligence. Request for title documents, request to see the plans. You have to request to see whether the development has been approved. You would engage a lawyer, but developers or whoever is developing the structure, they have lawyers of their own.
Yes.
So just engage your own lawyer. They converse and you're able to know whether it's safe to invest. After that, you'll be given legal documents like the letters of offer, sale agreements, and you'll be asked to commit. After your commitment, then you just pay in stages as you see the development progressing. There are options of cash payment, the options of mortgage. So yeah, that's the typical process, and at the end of the process, you're given a lease document that serves as your title.
Yvonne, what are some of the main challenges that you hear on a daily basis in the real estate?
Okay, I think one of the things that is challenging is demand, because the statistics show that there's a gap, housing gap of 200,000 units every year. So there's that rush to just fill that demand gap, which is why even if you see the buildings that are empty, either they're either taken for rental or sold, but there is a housing gap of 200,000 units per year. Another challenge I'd say is access to credit. There are people who'd like to construct their own houses, but just accessing that credit is becoming difficult because of the thresholds that the banks might have. That's why you're seeing people opting for SACCOs and getting loans through those means so that they're able to construct houses and live in.
And how has the new tax regime affected the real estate?
Well, I don't see that there's been any effect. Obviously, it affects all the industries that are there, that we have. But basically, for the real estate sector, it's just stable the way it's been.
Now, it comes to a situation where somebody is, we are in this particular kind of trend, and we have got so many defaulters around. How is this going to affect even the real estate moving forward? Because we have got so many, we have got defaulters. Either somebody was paying for a plot of land somewhere or an apartment somewhere, and now we have got so many defaulters. Is this going to affect the real estate?
I'd say the immediate adjustment I'd expect is for the prices to dip a bit, because when people default and you're a developer, you still need to be able to pay for your financing, right? So the most logical action that you will take is to lower prices a bit. If you're not able to weather it, lower prices so that you can collect cash and make your payment. So I'd expect there'll be that adjustment. Where someone is building and they're not able to continue making the payments, or where someone is buying a plot and not able to continue, then there'd be a lot of those repossessions. You're seeing uptick figures not as healthy as you'd expect. So those are the things that we have been seeing.
Yvonne, what is the future of real estate? Let's think about 10 years to come. What do you foresee? Give me that picture.
Okay. I'd foresee us moving towards more of master planned developments. People are really looking for a community where they can live, because it provides you with security. It regulates still your the value of your property. Another advantage would be, as we said, it provides you with a live, work and play environment. So I'd be seeing a shift towards that, whether it's in an apartment setting or whether we just have standalone units, but in that community setup. And there's also a move towards self-built houses. And the focus is towards that.
Where somebody just requires, his or her own space. You can have your small garden somewhere. People talk of nataka place pa kuchoma nyama, backyard, and what have you. How has devolution affected or improved real estate?
Well, we are yet to see the full impact of how devolution, the advantages of devolution for the real estate sector, because right now we are people are more focused towards the urban nodes, which would be Nairobi, say Kisumu, Mombasa. Nonetheless, there's been a shift from just the town center, and there's been a shift towards the satellite towns. So other than Nairobi, say CBD and the surrounding areas, you're seeing now movements towards Athi River. We're seeing movements towards Kitengela, Syokimau. Those are regions that have been growing at a very fast pace because of that slight shift. And with the improvements in infrastructure, it makes it very easy now for people to move outside of Nairobi. I think also the government has made an effort, though we still expect more in terms of development of areas like Konza Technopolis. Though it's not still operational as of yet, I'd say such moves would help devolution.
So, for example, let's just come back to Nairobi a bit, and you've talked of Konza, you've talked of Kitengela. People go to Rongai, the outskirts of Nairobi. People go as far as Ruiru and even Thika. What would push someone to go all the way to Konza, to Kitengela, and leave apartment around the Nairobi? We have got Kilimani, we have got Westlands, and what have you.
Well, Victor, let's be realistic.
Apartments
around Nairobi are really expensive. Houses even around Nairobi are expensive.
Starting from around 70,000 and above, right?
70,000 for rent, but purchase price would be like, say, 22 million for an apartment, 19 million, which is really pricey. If you want to stay in Karen, maybe the buying prices would be between 80 million to 120. So you see, a normal mwananchi, even let's just say me myself, I'd be thinking, let me move outside of Nairobi a bit. Land prices out of Nairobi are more affordable, which means then the houses that are
50 by 100, for example, in Kitengela would cost, like, 50, currently,
let's say 1.5 to 1.7. You see, and an acre in, say, Ruaka would be costing, say, 100 million. But you see how people are adjusting is by constructing high-rise developments in those areas so that you can maximize. Out of Nairobi, in Kitengela, Athi River areas, Rongai, if you want a standalone house, then that makes sense for you to, that makes sense for the ordinary mwananchi to go and invest there, either through a circle loan or however you want to finance through cash. But it makes sense.
It does. But then when you look at the costs at the end of every month, when you pay rent, probably let's say in Kilimani, Ngong Road, or whichever part of Nairobi you are in, and vis-a-vis the amount of fuel and time you spend from Kitengela all the way from Athi River to Nairobi, aren't they the same, almost at the same time? When you do your mathematics and calculations at the end of the month, your expenditure almost go at the same time.
I can see you're trying to justify why you're staying in Kilimani, but
why I should live in Kitengela and I have, what would people go for? Does it make any sense, really?
Well, it does make sense for them, because these are people that are looking for a house with their own compound, as you were saying, and maybe those are advantages that the apartment would not provide. And then just technically speaking, for some people it just does not make sense to pay 70,000 for a house. So they prefer, maybe let me move outside, pay my 30,000, have my compound, I wake up a bit early, say 5, and I don't spend so much time on the road. So there's that give and take, that trade-off. So the closer you are to the city, there are things that are more expensive, there are things that are cheaper for you, but the further away you go, maybe rent now is cheaper, transport becomes more expensive. So it's that trading.
what is the outcome right now in terms of uptake? We had certain research and which was done showing that the uptake of houses in Kilimani area, when you go to part of Westlands in Nairobi, for example, and its environs, has completely taken a slight dip. What is the situation right now as it is?
Well, there has been that reduction in uptake, that is driven by the factors that we have discussed. So when you walk around, you're seeing rental units. There are some units that are vacant. You're seeing a developer that has for sale sign, but the uptake is not as high as we'd expect. And some markets are performing in that way because there's also excess supply. In areas like Kilimani, say for example, there are very many developments that are coming up, and the prices that we have talked about. So there's demand and supply. So we want houses, but at those prices we cannot afford those houses. So you shift from Kilimani, you go to another area, see whether they have something that you can afford. So there are market segments in other areas. Let's take, for example, Athi River. If the developer has given a good development in terms of the amenities that they're providing, the quality of the house, you can see uptick now starting to increase compared to also what the competitors are offering around. Areas like Ruaka also, for example, areas like Rongai, yes. So some market segments have that oversupply.
What is your take on affordable housing project by the government?
My take would be that was a good initiative. I would not know the figures in terms of whether the government has gotten the uptick that they anticipated, because there were those legal elements in terms of contributing towards the fund, which they made voluntary. But it is a good effort because, as you said, the demand gap is like 200,000 housing units per year, and everyone wants to own a home. At some point, I'd like to own a home. So that was a good initiative, and I'd expect to see it pick up once people start, seeing people benefiting.
Will it bridge that gap of housing deficit? For sure. Yes, and I'm sure the government's plan was driven by those figures, just to try and bridge that deficit. And now, when you talk about the affordable housing, somebody will say that well, the houses are built, but first of all, there is that cadre of people who will first get it. How common mwananchi understand that the real estate can be achieved by, even that person down there, the Juakali person, can also work hard and own a home. How is it possible for one to own a home? Well, I think people will just understand once they see those initial people benefiting. Right now, it doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like there's that skepticism. But once we start seeing the initial beneficiaries, I think there'll be more confidence. And really, the deficit is more towards the lower segment of the market. And by the government stepping in and even partnering with the private sector, that will very quickly now start to bridge it. Now, when let's now talk about age group and age gap. Who are the perennial purchasers and consumers of real estate? Which particular age group do you usually deal with? I would say 40 to 60. 40 to 60. Those are the people who come to purchase units. Why? And mostly because they have been able to amass that wealth, or mostly because through their employment or their business, they're able to access those credit facilities. You see, it needs stable income, or it needs you to have maybe invested and been able to pull those funds, because the reality again is real estate is expensive. There are ways that you can manage and try and bridge that gap, but it is expensive. So the ordinary consumer or the ordinary customer who'd come to buy a unit would be in that age gap. The reason why I've asked that question is that at what point would that person before the age of 40 be able to own a home? What would make that person before the age of 40 say that I'm a proud owner of an apartment or a home somewhere in Rongai, Kitengela, or anywhere part of Nairobi or in Kenya? One, I think it needs education.
that you need to invest. There are options for you. You know, a lot of people maybe are not investing through their circles. We see women groups in chamas, but it's more of merry-go-round. Not many people are directing those funds towards those investments. So it needs that education in terms of how to invest and you know where you can invest. So that's first. That's one of the ways. Another development that we've been seeing, developers are now moving to a situation where they're providing creative payment plans, and that's allowing the younger people to be able to own homes. So their rent to, you know, it's like you're paying rent, but at the end of the day, you'll own a home. So that's also at least giving the opportunity to the younger generation to be able to own homes. There are developers also who are now entering into that affordable market segment. For you to own a home, it is not the palatial home that you wanted, but at least there's this 1-bedroom unit that is being done for you at an affordable price, say 3 million, that if you work towards and have a monthly payment plan, you're able to own.
Okay. Yvonne, as we come to a close, what will be your closing remarks?
I'd say overall, the real estate segment of the market has a positive outlook. It may not seem like it now.
Clear, maybe right now.
Yes, not right now. But still, generally, there's that, you know, upwards projection that we expect. I'd say as well that, you know, there's this shift that people are looking towards master planned communities, and for a good reason, what we have discussed. So my closing remarks would be for the younger generation. Invest. For every shilling that you're earning, make sure you're putting something aside. Look for investment opportunities. You know, invest with circles. Don't be afraid to take that loan if you're able to service it. Go ahead and buy the land. You know, there's this meme that is saying, what were my parents doing? And these other guys are owning homes. So just that conscious investment move.
Absolutely. Yvonne, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely, time is running so fast. I wish we had more time to talk about investments. You put it correctly. We need to invest every coin that you have. Make sure that you can put a coin or two. It will come in handy at some point in time. That is Yvonne Ondego, who is a project manager and real estate analyst from the Superior Homes Kenya. Thank you so much for your time. And of course, now we're taking a break and we come back. Iron Politics will be following up next. We'll be right back.
Nissan Serena ndio hii, na unaweza kuwa wewe ndio tunapikia simu. Kodi ya Nissan Serena ni NS, alafu kisha kwenye amount ni 50 bob. Hii Nissan Serena tunakupatia na shilingi 50.
Kujiunga na QuickBid ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill, kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bidi yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16, kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bidi yako pia kwenye www.quickbid.co.ke. Kumbuka, bidi ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio hununua. QuickBid, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
Nataka kwenda boarding school.
Hakuna kwenda boarding school.
Does it include unblocking my card?
Hii bangi yatoka wapi?
Ufikiria nani mwingine anatusumbua siku hizi?
Sasa toka.
Baba umefanya. Mfano wako ungekubali wewe?
Baba niamini mimi najua baada ya hizi kutabaki.
The lush pasture in the north will be the new home for these 10,000 war horses.
The man you want me to get rid of would be Prince Jin, correct?
Although he may suspect me somewhat, Now our priority is to ease all of his suspicions.
Program. This is still Good Morning Kenya. Time for our other traffic link. We're still looking at what is happening along Uhuru Highway, just as I mentioned to you earlier, trying to see if at all things have changed or is the same as how it was earlier on. At least you can remember that in between these two roundabouts, this was the Haile Selassie Avenue roundabout and the Bunyala roundabout. At least things were opening up a bit. That's why we were seeing that orange color. But right now things have changed altogether. Heavy kind of gridlock there being witnessed, specifically as you leave the Haile Selassie Avenue coming through Uhuru Highway before you get to the Bunyala roundabout there. This is why we are seeing that maroon color, which is a clear indicator of that heavy gridlock not moving, just at a standstill, at a parking lot. This is actually what that maroon color indicates or means. On the other side, rather, still the same being witnessed as you leave Bunyala roundabout, still coming through Uhuru Highway just before you get to the Haile Selassie Avenue roundabout. In fact, all through this entire lane, it's not moving, just at a standstill, moving at a very, very slow pace. In fact, on some sections there, and this is again why we are seeing that red color. But slightly before you get to the roundabout, which is the Haile Selassie Avenue, looks like things are opening up just a bit there before you get to the roundabout. And again, that's why we are seeing a bit of that green color, which is a clear indicator of no traffic at all. In fact, moving at a swift pace. And this is again specific to that lane as you come to the city center via Uhuru Highway, just before you get to the Haile Selassie Avenue roundabout there. Again, around the roundabout, still the same situation, heavy kind of gridlock. But also, I told you earlier that this is basically what you would expect to see, specifically around major roundabouts. Key in point is specific just like this one, simply because roundabouts either branches off to major roads, slip roads, or major highways, just like this one. And again, this is why we are seeing that kind of heavy traffic. In fact, this is actually throughout that entire roundabout. But also, again, around this area is one of those areas which at least some sections of it have been closed simply because of that expressway. So ultimately, what we are seeing is basically what you'd expect to see. In addition to that, not forgetting the fact that it's the early morning hour. So it simply means people are either heading off to their workstation, their businesses, so different kind of activities as you come to the city center. Again, this is a good reason as why we would see the kind of heavy traffic that you're spotting. In fact, around this roundabout, it's just not changing at all. The same situation there as it was just a minute ago is still the same as what we're witnessing right now. But also, like I had mentioned, is that the traffic police are usually stationed up and early, especially around this major roundabouts along, Uhuru Highway as well as other major roundabouts, to try and see how best they can control traffic there. So away from the Haile Selassie Avenue roundabout, still coming through Uhuru Highway, given that that is our focus. Just before we get to the Uhuru Highway itself, look at that. This is still around the roundabout, and things have just changed right this very minute. This is again why I keep saying all the time that traffic changes every single second. This is still around the Haile Selassie, just as you leave the roundabout on that section, as you leave the roundabout, still coming through Uhuru Highway before you get to Kenyatta Avenue. On that section, still heavy kind of traffic, just as it is throughout the entire roundabout. However, on that particular section, right now, it's just at a standstill. This has changed right this very minute. And this again why I was saying, if at all you're coming to the city center, that time was the best time for you to do that because of the kind of heavy traffic, especially along this particular way or highway as you come to the CBD. And again, the same continues specific to that lane that is leaving Kenyatta Avenue. as you still come through Uhuru Highway before you get to the Haile Selassie Avenue roundabout. As you leave the roundabout there, still coming again through the same route as you enjoy to Bunyala all the way to the Nyayo Stadium roundabout as you head over to areas around or along Mombasa Road. But again, it's also quite interesting because oftentimes on major roads, you really don't expect to see heavy kind of gridlock, especially on that lane that is leaving city center as you head over perhaps to the estates, because where you really expect to see traffic is on the other side because of obvious reasons. But on this specific one, the reason as why we are perhaps seeing the kind of heavy gridlock there on that lane where we don't really expect to see any is simply because along this route, as it leaves the areas around University roundabout, Kenyatta Avenue, coming through Uhuru Highway, leaving Haile Selassie, still coming again through the same route as you head over to Bunyala, all the way past the Nyayo Stadium roundabout as you head over to Mombasa, is because along the same stretch is where you really spot also a number of businesses in terms of companies, industries along there. And not forgetting that Mombasa Road itself is also one of those busy areas, so quite a number of businesses and activities, companies there. So ultimately it also means that in as much as we'd expect to see people heading over to the city center for their workstations and different kind of activities, perhaps the kind of heavy traffic, the same is also being witnessed on this other side. So again, this is why we are seeing that kind of heavy traffic also on this other side as you leave city center or leave areas around Kenyatta Avenue or even the University roundabout as you head over to that other side of Mombasa Road via Bunyala Road, Bunyala roundabout, via the Nyayo Stadium roundabout there. On the other section, still heavy kind of traffic there as you come to the city center, but as I mentioned, this is actually what you'd expect to see. So clearly the same is being witnessed there, and that same situation continues up until the Kenyatta Avenue roundabout. So again, it simply means that just along this way, which is the Uhuru Highway, and also the roundabouts that get to branch off from this major way, this is actually what is expected to be seen for, perhaps a long time, given the fact that there's still that construction of the expressway there. But at least as of now, this is how it's looking like in terms of traffic along Uhuru Highway, given that has been our focus this Monday.
All right. Thank you, Doreen, for the traffic update. Let's talk about politics now. We can never stop talking about politics. Yeah. And with me in studio, I have Daniel Orogo here, who is a political analyst, joining me in studio, and I have got Hamisi Mboga, who is also going to join me via Zoom. Let's talk about politics now, and the show currently on is Eye on Politics. Let's talk about what has happened in the last 24 hours, 48 hours, or even 72 hours, or even last week. We have to talk about it. Let's talk about that. Let's get talking, and you can reach me on @Victolo, that is on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, or on Twitter, and send in your request, comments, or even your feedback, and then we'll be sampling them during this particular show. Daniel, karibu sana.
Good morning.
It's a cold morning. Everybody's talking about July cold. First of all, which team are you supporting, England or Italy?
I have been a fan for Italy for a long time, and I think the display they had ever since the tournament began, draw my attention to be one of their fans. I mean, there is no doubt about that. Because I said that yesterday before way back at 7 p.m. that, Italians were going to carry the day after a long spell without
without the silverware. Somebody saying that it's football made in Italy.
Well, it depends from whether side you're making that statement, but I think it's an opportunity for all the teams, because much more is just a stage opener for the World Cup, and I think all the nations that plays in UEFA Euro are actually testing their capacity to play in World Cup next year. In either way, I think all the teams that represented and participated in the Euros,
they're making a statement.
Really needs to go back and look at where they need to strengthen as they prepare for the big
match. And of course, it's a big of a problem to Italy now that people are going for World Cup and they've lifted that silverware. So it will be hard not to crack for them. It's a good team to watch.
But it's also a very, very, very good weekend, because we after some years we saw a breakthrough through the space exploration. Sir Richard Branson and the whole Virgin Galactic team.
Exactly. Yes.
Yesterday made a breakthrough.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important that this generation needs to appreciate, the ease at which they see these inventions, as they were happening in 1960s and 1970s. You remember Neil Armstrong,
and it's completely changed.
Went and plunged the U.S. flag, and yesterday the British also went and explored the same space. I hear Jeff Bezos is also working on going to the space, and the rest. So I think it's important that the young generations that are watching this quite inspiration that is going on, especially making statement, that inventions is the way to go. That when you believe, you could actually achieve your dream.
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to a nation when Kenyans would also begin, the space exploration, and begin also our astronauts begin to work on research that would make us also make such kind of exploits.
That's an inspiration there to the entire nation, because exploring the space, as you all know, it needs some time. All right, so let's get into the discussion today. A lot happened over the weekend, and now we are in a new week, and we expect even a lot more to happen, because even as we head towards that election that is next year, we expect so much to happen, and we'll continue talking about politics each and every day to shape the political landscape of this nation, because the moment we stop talking, I don't think we'll always get it right. Okay, so when you look at this page, maybe you can read it. Let's talk about that headline on the Star.
It reads, Musalia plays hard to get in Uhuru's unity bid. And I think there's a sub that Kalonzo's relationship with Raila is towing, and there's a possibility of a deal to face William Ruto.
Where do you make of that headline?
I think, like we said in the last set, we had predicted this in substance.
Yes.
And we say that as all the political players are having discussions and jostling for preparation in 2022.
This particular headline we discussed here.
Yes, we discussed it here, I think 2 weeks ago.
Exactly.
And then we say that as you look at the discussions right now, all the bigwigs, and I remember what we said, that everybody must come into a table with a strong and a big bargaining chip.
Exactly.
And like we say, that each and every political player is going to play hard to get. Not really that they will not be gotten, but because they don't want to go to a negotiating table with a small deal.
Yeah.
And I think this is what is happening to Musalia. Remember, Musalia is a victim of circumstances. In 2013, what happened?
Yeah.
When the discussion was going on and he was, touted as a popular candidate by Jubilee Alliance at that time, he also he remember the case about Madimoni. I think you remember that is the time.
Exactly.
The Musalia was 90% going to be the flag bearer of Jubilee Alliance in 2013 to run against cont. And something happened overnight. And he was betrayed and he went it alone. So I think Musalia is playing a political game that is politics, and I like his philosophy because, like I've said, being a victim of circumstances, and is not only betrayed once. I mean, he's been within these political processes for a long time. Joined politics was relatively young and understands, the political horse trading. So for this one, I think I am agreeing to his suggestion that before he agrees to join any political outfit, it would be important for him to explore all the options. It would be important for him to advance that negotiation table with a deal that would secure him, and his followers, some goodies in the political pact. Remember again, each and every political party, when the stalwarts are having a discussion about their possibility to get into the deal, all their political followers, including their backyard, must also be roped in the discussion. And this is something that always makes discussions very hard, because you can have these principles on the room to agree, but once they go outside, all their followers, all their dogs would want them to play hard. So I think this is important.
But it would be very impossible for me, for Musalia, to have a ticket with UDA. It's likely possible that they would, have a deal with the handshake, political outfit.
Is it the best bet?
It is, because I think looking at the instances, like I said, before, and of course there is an active case in the Court of Appeal that is pending ruling on August. But if you look at the discussion that is going on in the handshake, and President Uhuru Kenyatta is being purported to be reaching out, to prevailing all the leaders to have a strong political outfit to face the deputy president. And I think it's in the public domain that he's, the leader, the Jubilee Party leader, is warning and throwing a caution on the air that if you do not put your NASA house in order, or if you don't want to call it NASA, but your unity is very critical, because if you do not unite, then that becomes a weakest point for UDA or any other outfit that might come. Your unity is very strong. And I said here, Victor, again, and it's good these guys are always listening to us, that there is no political formation that is going to have a one win in 2022.
Yes.
In the crafting of political alliance, each and every political is looking for outfit. Do not despite that small vote or that fragmented political factions that you think might be small, right? Because it might go for a runoff.
Yes.
And a runoff, remember, is just plus 1% of the vote.
Yes.
And that is very critical for each and every player.
Yeah. Let me bring in Amisi Boga here briefly. Just let's talk about that. Amisi, good morning and welcome to the program. First of all, we are talking about the Musalia Mudavadi's, saying he's trying to, according to the Star newspaper, Musalia Mudavadi playing hard to get in Uhuru unity bid. What is your take on that, Hamisi?
First, thank you very much for inviting me and good morning to all of you. I think it's very good to be able to have this discuss because it's time now the political arena is open. And therefore, we discuss, we give opinions. If you ask me, I think he's playing two. In politics, you need first perception, and then you need strategy, and then you need a very quick action. Because if you're late a bit, you may find that the chair that you wanted to see somebody has sat. But I think Mheshimiwa Mudavadi is playing a very, very good strategy. He's not saying he's not joining now in his body language, but he wants, maybe in every discussion, you need to know if you're going, what will happen? What are my stakes? I think he's playing that ball so that he's given a way of knowing when I'm there, it will not be like the other time. He has had other times, and we know those other times. So he wants to make sure. And maybe his followers also ask him, don't give in until you know what is your stake in that pie. And therefore, he's playing that one. But I think the only way out, the way I see it, is we have a strong either cooperation or working relationship of these teams. Because if they go it alone, as everybody is saying, William has started long time ago, he'll take the boat. So if you want to compete with that boat of William, you need to have a very strong boat and strong people pushing the boat. So I think he's coming, and I think there are some negotiations, but I suggest if he had some people on the table discussing for him, because you can see the other big people. While Mheshimiwa Uhuru is moving on to consolidate the other NASA people, his team is working, his team is strategizing. So we also need, if I was advising Mheshimiwa MM, we should send people there to go and observe, because he's not chased. You can say, okay, we have come here so that you know what is happening inside. But I think these two teams are going to be quite critical in our political arena. If you take Mudavadi, if you take Mheshimiwa Kalonzo, Mheshimiwa Baba, and they form a formidable team, then maybe William can pick another one or two other parties. Then we have two strong parties fighting for this leadership, it would be arena like England and Italy.
Exactly. Talk about England and Italy. So let me ask you before I let you go briefly, Hamisi. Then we've had some MPs from Western. Most vocal one is Ayub Savula, who says that Deputy President William Ruto will beat Raila Odinga only if they, but that will not happen if they front Musalia Mudavadi as the competitor to William Ruto. How would you buy that statement?
What it is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Politics is convincing and putting a scenario and selling that scenario because what I hear from him is the scenario, but what are the facts? Are you talking about numbers? Because elections are about numbers. Elections are about mobilizing people to be able to be on your side. If you say that we can't Mudavadi, who is going to mobilize those other people? So you need to go beyond that statement for us to believe actually that will happen. What about if they all also mobilize to support ODM leader or any other leader that that group will appoint? So this is very early stage because we have almost a year. Let them strategize. And also, you see, in my language, where I come from, there are people who beat the drums for you. Wapigaji debe. If you want to pick a debe for your candidate, you have to sell some language. And I think Savula is trying to do that. Because what is interesting is there are people who are so quiet in ODM. Okay?
Yes,
not everybody is saying this or saying that. What is their strategy? What are they cooking in terms of African language? So there are things that are being cooked. And I think the time that the food is ready, we shall see the direction. But I see Mheshimiwa Musalia joining Kalonzo and Raila team backed by the president.
Yes,
but I can also see the strength of William Ruto and his team. The gentleman is on the ground. Right now, if you move around, you go to other places, you hear the name is being mentioned. So don't underestimate that one also. And for those other people to compete, they have to do the same. Like what they have said, I think Kanu is mobilizing grassroots elections and also people joining the party. I can see ODM is saying we shall go and that is the way, so that you can gauge your strength. I think 2022 is going to give us a good platform for watching football.
Okay. Daniel, there is a point that Hamisi has raised that while ANC is quite vocal in the whole of this political circus, ODM is completely quiet. We are not hearing any ODM legislator talking about the 2022. Everybody is quiet. What would your take on this? Is it a strategy?
Well, I think like Hamisi has just mentioned, I think behind the success in politics lies the strategy. And I think I don't like quoting 48 laws of power because I think it's outdated, but the law
I think it's still relevant in our politics. It is.
Yeah, you conceal your intentions.
Yes,
I think that should be one of the laws in that book. One, I think I'm really sure that ODM is working on restructuring the party. And one of the things I can confirm to you that the party is planning for a grassroots party elections. Secondly, I think the party is on the rebranding and making sure that minus the expected endorsement, the party really wants to test also its own strength. Like I told you, every party would want to go to a negotiating table with critical in terms of able to marshal resources and numbers, because that is also what counts. There is also a fact that, remember, besides being quiet, the party secretary general, Edwin Sifuna had said that he is authorized and begin to have a pre-coalition agreement with Jubilee Party.
Yes.
And I think that is what is important for the party, that there is consultation on how to have a win-win agreement between Orange Democratic Movement and Jubilee Party, and subsequently other political parties. For me, I think the quietness is sponsored by, a lot of strategy, a lot of consultations, and just a lot of party consultations and rebranding of the party. There had been a number of responses from members of parliament. You just recently, when Dr. William Ruto made some statement about Honorable Raila Odinga, I think you saw some members of parliament coming and defending the party leader about corruption allegations, and about endorsement and all these things. But also, we also forget, and coming back to the big topic, I think Musalia, like I told you, being a victim of circumstances and situations, Musalia, besides 2013, he also supported, in fact, he's the one who came up with the issue about NASA in 2017. And one of the undoing about the political nature of this country, Victor, is by the fact that all pre-elections and post-election agreement and coalitions agreement becomes as secret affairs. That with the law that gives us access to information, the register of political parties become the de facto possessor of these agreements. That Kenyans have never seen the coalition agreement, the contents of this agreement. Way back in 2002, Kibaki Tosha agreement that was violated, to the ones that we've seen, in 2005, 2007, and even the ones that we saw in 2013 and 2017. So it could be very difficult for us as citizens and pundits to find that what was the contents of these agreements that all these political party bigwigs are always up and down saying this was violated. This weekend, Ayub Savula mentioned that, the ODM party leader, and I quote him, he's saying that ODM party leader is like a father who got married, to another wife and left all the family stranded, at the streets. So for them, they would not want to get into another agreement with that kind of a person. And I quote what he said. So I think it's important as, our political nature would have us have a discussion on how then would we compel the rights of access to information to extend towards the rights of getting information on political agreements and on agreements, for us to know exactly what is this violated, and is a right also as for us to participate in the political party processes.
Okay. Before we continue, Hamisi, let's just take a break, and when you come back, we heard Dr. William Ruto also saying that, Watu ODM do not include the president's name in your campaigns. And do we all remember what happened in Ukambani? Raila went to Ukambani and announced, nobody saw that, and it raised a lot of eyebrows. Let's talk about that when we come back. That is with me, Hamisi Boga here, and Daniel Orogo. We'll be discussing more right after the break. We'll be right back.
Nissan Serena ndio hii, na unaweza kuwa wewe ndio tunapikia simu. Kodi ya Nissan Serena ni NS. alafu kisha kwenye amount ni 50 bob. Hii Nissan Serena tunakupatia na shilingi 50.
Kujiunga na QuickBid ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bidi yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bidi yako pia kwenye www.quickbid.co.ke. Kumbuka, bidi ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio hununua. QuickBid, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
Siku moja mosquito ilipata ujauzito, ikazaa mtoto. Sasa hiyo mama ya mosquito ikatuma mtoto mosquito iende ikapige doria iwache kukaa kwa nyumba. Sasa hii mtoto mosquito ikaenda ikarudi. Hii mtoto mosquito ikaambia mama yake, mama, mimi nimeenda kila mahali watu wanapigia mimi makofi, watu wamefurahiana na mimi sana. Mama, hii mosquito ikaambia mtoto yake, hao wapigii wewe makofi eti wanafurahia wewe, hiyo walikuwa wanataka kuua wewe.
Ili kupata skiza tune hiyo ya mosquito, bonyeza *811*967#. Bonyeza *811*967#.
And welcome back. Iron Politics is still going on. I'm still with Hamisi Boga here, joining me via Zoom, and Daniel Orogo with me in studio, all of them political commentators and political analysts. Gentlemen, let's talk about the issue of, Deputy President saying, do not include the president's name in your campaigns. And at the same time, he said that, he helped the president to clinch the seat. And now, it is the time for the hustlers to be represented. That is what he said. Hamisi, let me come back to you and start by asking you this question. Why would you think the deputy president would say that he helped the president to clinch that seat in the last two elections, and now it's now time for the hustlers to take reign of leadership?
I think the deputy president is a very clever politician and is a tactful, and he's reminding the system that actually we were together, I supported you, and now it's my support. So these are the intruders who are coming, according to our perception. They are spoiling that strategy because it's going to make him having difficult time to get that post. So he's changing tack. And also, if you look at political stance, you can change tack to divert the attention, because for the last many months, everybody is having the perception that the deputy president is undermining the presidency. So now he's coming to help the president. You people are undermining the president, and they want him to complete his. So it's a change of tack so that you have another strategy. While he's saying that, his people on the ground are really working. So I think he's a very clever politician, and as I said earlier, he's on the ground. So while we're seeing what he's saying, let's also see what he's doing, because that strategy may work if it is not interfered with. So why should he defend the president and he's on the other side fighting the president in the perception of politicians? So this is a change of tack, and it's for a clever politician to do that. And every politician has to change. You can't go on using the same strategy if it's not moving faster and it's not moving according to adding value to you. So he's changing tack, but let's see after some time, what is he going to say again? Now his strategy for the last many months, for a long time, the deputy president was all the time attacking Raila.
Yes.
And then lately, Kalonzo and the team. And then suddenly he changed to attack in our eyes. Uhuru, when you go to his bedroom, you are attacking him. Now he's changing tack again. I think he's a very clever man.
Okay. Thank you, Hamisi. What's the stand on that?
Well, I think allow me to take a detour, and I don't think that is being clever. Well, if we have to think that is cleverness, I think that is a cleverness that cost someone a lot of political mileage. Like Amisa said, that a candidate's campaign cannot be pegged on attacks. Trying to remind people that you are the sole reason that made them to be in the political position they are. This is the case that had happened between him and the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. When he said that he helped me to become the Prime Minister, he's repeated the same assertions, telling His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta that he's also the one who made him, to become the and if you can think about it, Victor, this was one of the genesis of the fallout between the two.
Yes.
This was one of the statements that can be attributed to the fallout between the two. The claim that William Ruto is the sole reason, that without him, he couldn't be. And, his lieutenants has gone ahead to affirm that assertion in public domain. And I think that really works against him, because if he's listening, I think let's caution him about this. One, it dents your image because it puts you to a position of not being reliable. And one, it shows that you're always a hopper, trying to help people, but then you yourself cannot be in a position to help yourself. Well, I know the strategy is to, make people think that he's always in a winning camp everywhere he goes. But also it works, it provides a counter narrative on you, because it doesn't sit well for you. Victor, there is also something that happened over weekend that, will ail the eyes of political commentators. And Dr. William Ruto made his way to Uganda. And meet President Museveni. And I think this must also be put into context. One, as a political analyst, I would analyze the situation in two ways. That when it comes to foreign diplomacy, it bequeaths the government structures to organize for a presidency or anybody within the government to meet another head of state. And therefore, it is my belief that William Ruto, his visit was sanctioned by the head of state or was sanctioned by the government because he was meeting the head of state. Dr. William Ruto is part and parcel of the presidency still. And therefore, when he goes to represent and meet another presidency, that visit is sanctioned by the government through the Minister of Foreign Affairs. We also be alive to the fact that there had been some semblance of fallout between the central government of Kenya, Nairobi, and Entebbe on very critical discussions. One is probably on the infrastructure, and secondly, I think, is on the border disputes on the Migingo issue. So I, as a commentator, looking keenly into this, I would ask myself, how would such a visit happen in the backdrop of a fallout between the president and the deputy? Was it a state visit or is it a personal? And if it was a personal visit, then it raised a lot of eyebrows. Because we know very well, Victor, that our neighboring country, there is a sliding democracy. There is an infringement of people's right, and there is an internal interference in the Kenyans' internal diplomacy by the neighboring state. So when a deputy president have a conversation with a person of this nature, this is my opinion. This is my opinion. It's not your opinion. This is my opinion. That it raises a lot of eyebrows, and all analysts would begin to look at the conversation at the state at which such a visit was taking place. And I think it's also important that the leaders begin to question, and those who are getting into a discussion about the future of Kenya in 2022 must begin to look that interrogation.
this is what happened over the weekend, and of course, Hamisi, with that statement from the deputy president, is it something that he's the hustler representative, so to speak, and now it is time for him to be represented the way Daniel has said? It might not work, good for him, and either way, this is politics, and we might just have to wait a little longer to see what happened. Hamisi, I want to bring in this headline on the front page of the Daily Nation, and we talked about this here again, Daniel. The secrets of ODM and Jubilee Power deal.
Yes.
We talked about it, and I think Hamisi can also remember, I think was it last week or last week, but one, and it happens to say that it's first among equals. The parties of President Kenyatta and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga want to be designated as senior partners in the proposed broad-based coalition with other political outfits, Wiper, ANC, Ford Kenya and KANU, joining through either of them. Now, the motivation for this move is to narrow the power sharing bargaining to only the two sides. We discussed this again here sometimes, in the past.
Yes.
Amazing, let me start with you. Now we have got ODM and Jubilee in the process of making a power deal. What do you foresee from this headline? Amisi.
I see, before I come to this, I wanted to have a point in terms of the visit to
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, go ahead. My perception is, I think it was a private visit, because if it is a government to government, we would have known and seen the preparation here, the reception, our ambassador across the board. But I think this was a private visit, so let's look at it from that angle. What was discussed, the rumors have it that they were discussing business, so let's leave it at that. But if you come to these formations, and I can see a repeat of 2002, the formations can take shape immediately if you have, leadership is about strength, it's about a personality. When Mheshimiwa Raila is coming to the city for a meeting, you will feel it, So people gauge you because of the perception first which was created and the number of people following you. So I think if you take Jubilee, if you take ODM, look at the background of their numbers, look at the background of their strength, they can make a change. So they are saying, here we are ready to join, but can you other people join us so that we achieve a particular 50 goal? So I think it's an advantage if in Kenya, and I can see now and in the future, no single party will make it to the presidency if they don't work with others. And this is good for democracy. In some other democracies, in fact, in the middle of the term, people change parties and you see a government changes, because that is the benefit of democracy, and not having somebody to push others on the ground without a say. So there is an element of formation of a very strong team to be able to emulate the 202 wave, and it can be a wave if what we have just said or what we said the other time, two strong parties and they are very strong, then you will see the wave in the country, and the strongest candidate will win. So I can see if ODM and Jubilee, part of Jubilee that is aligned to the president, are talking, that's a strong position. Whatever formations they will have, is it forming one party, coalition, or is it understanding, or what we should do, and we should inform the others after the formation. What next? Because when you go to elections and nomination, if we are together, two parties, and they're in one region, the candidates, are they going to compete? Because if they do, we will see the repeat of what we saw earlier. So there's so many intricacies that must be discussed during the formation. Do you allow Jubilee not to have somebody in Nyanza because ODM is there, or do you not allow ODM to have a candidate in Ruiru because Jubilee is there? Those are some of the issues that will come out to make it. Because if you make a mistake, the other group adversary, they'll come and take it over.
Exactly. I mean, briefly, let me ask you. So, what will be the fate of the parties that were collapsed to join to form the Jubilee coalition? Will they move to be part of that coalition, that agreement between ODM and Jubilee?
There are two angles. One, before I talk about those parties that formed the Jubilee before, now that Wiper, right now that Wiper is having understanding with Jubilee and Kanu understanding with Jubilee, so we already see some formations in this system. Are they there? And the collapsed parties, when they were forming Jubilee, are gone. I think the way we see it is, if you say Jubilee, it is Jubilee plus all those other parties. So they will split themselves. One group will go to Uhuru camp and the other group will go to William camp. But obviously, I'm asking this question. Is Kanu in that ODM Jubilee plan? Is Wiper is there, or is it going to be there? And those are some of the serious questions, because people like to know, especially the supporters of these other parties. They want to know what will happen if these two join. What will be our stake? Remember the MP for, I think, Mavoko. It's very critical. They want to know. We can't just join without knowing what our seat, our angle of the seat is. So I think there are so many questions that these teams that are coalescing must work out, so that the people outside their circle see, because the supporters are critical in winning any game. So you have to convince them. Okay, the big people have decided this is it. How about the people on the ground who do the work?
Yes. All right.
We also have some small stakes.
Okay. Thank you. It's a challenge, and it's just the crafters and the whole the legal brains behind this coalition, I hope, are working towards making it work. This is a headline I have to repeat again. We predicted this one sometimes last week, but one, and it's now here. Does this make you happy?
The power deal between
yes.
No, but yes, because one is simply because if you talk about the secrets of ODM and Jubilee,
because from that statement, it's the only two political parties, the two big wigs is Jubilee and ODM.
Besides that, we just concluded a statement here and said, when a political space is opened for all political players to play, there should no longer be secrets in some of coalition agreement, because at the end of the day, parties are perceived to be a broad-based political institutions, and we envision a situation where political parties are owned by members who must be made aware and participate on these deals, like the ones that are now being termed secret. But also unfortunate in the sense that when you look at the register of political parties, we are having almost 82 political parties that are registered, that are just registered. When you talk about them being active, that is another question. In the crafting of winning alliance again, and it's good that we are predicting again here, any formation of formula of winning an alliance cannot be won by two political parties.
It has to be a coalition of many parties.
It has to be a coalition of many political parties. And this is what I'm going to advise these two political parties again, that in the imagination, in the formation, or in the crafting of these alliances, let that be a broad-based. Let it be as inclusion as possible. Let it be as diverse as is possible, because one, it is important to take into consideration that the election that is going to be in 2022, and again I said, there are a number of newly registered voters, young people who are, below 18 years in 2017, for the first time are going to register as voters. And the dynamic about this is that this generation is a digital generation that do not understand anything to do with democracy in 1992. This is a generation that do not understand, all these, things that you're saying about independence. They read in books, but they're not really acclimatized. They do not really, these do not really form part of it. But I'm going to tell you that this is a generation that have understood so well the effects of unemployment. It's a generation that has stood so well the effects of hustling. And this is where I'm telling you that one political party formations is driving this agenda into getting the nuts of these voters, because they have mastered what is the need of this generation. Therefore, when you talk about, this is why I'm saying, Victor, when you talk about this kind of headlines, the consumers of these kinds of headlines is some constituency of voters that has been voting ever since, and voted even in 2013 and 2017. But there is a huge constituency of voters that do not understand this language. And it's important to spread and reach out to these people.
What is this kind of headline meant to achieve? Because people have been saying Jubilee is dead and ODM is dead, NASA is dead. And now the two principles of these two political parties are now coming together and say that, we are not dead. The parties are not dead.
Yes.
We are forming a coalition. Yes. Is this meant to send a signal that, hey, 2022 is fast approaching years, but the same parties that you say that are dead will come up and, as a formidable force in the next election?
Definitely. And that is right. And you see, yesterday, not really yesterday, but even the previous week, there was some chat within the corridors of Jubilee Party about rebranding the party.
Yes.
Dealing
the
party colors, the logo, and besides that, what is really important for Jubilee, all political parties, is to look into the party organs. And you see, one of the allegations about the fallout of other UDA outfits that came is simply because there was an allegation that some people within the house and within the party organs, fingers were pointed towards the vice chair, the office of the vice chair, and the office of the Jubilee Party Secretary General. And I think besides just rebranding these party logos and party outfits, I think it's important for, and we said it here again, by the way, that one of the things that kills Jubilee is not having the PG. You understand?
They haven't had
ever. I think they only had it after when they were preparing for the repeat elections. Which there was someone, it was about a sermon that was given to the party and the direction to follow. So I think it is important that even as Jubilee, specifically as it rebrands, that one look into the party organs and do a lot of restructuring within the party leadership, do a lot of restructuring within the laying down of political, your party internal rules and regulations, including holding an election for the new membership of that party.
All right. Okay.
And that will be tested by Kiamba, by the way.
Yes, which we'll talk about.
Which we'll talk and for ODM shortly.
Yes.
For ODM, I think, again, who are interested in running for political party, and I think for ODM is doing really well. One is the reassurance. And Baba, did this well even in Mombasa. And the party secretary general has been insisting. The mistake that causes ODM for 3 constituencies that they have lost is by, forcing party candidates on people.
Exactly.
If ODM would work on a formula and receive, party candidates that the ground is giving them, that electors are giving them, then I think the party will gain a lot of grounding.
Absolutely. Let me ask you, Hamisi, there's this particular, the coalition between Jubilee and ODM. And we all know that President Kenyatta's tenure is coming to an end in the next 13 or so months. But then that coalition between Jubilee and ODM is being worked out so that they have got that broad-based kind of, negotiating level playing field come next year. Now, where is President Kenyatta's position in the next election?
This is interesting, and we're looking at it. Those of us who are observing politics and also looking at the political science, you are not over until you are over. You are not completely out until you are out.
Yes.
And this succession is not only a matter of principle; it's a matter of the survival of individuals and parties. So Jubilee is saying they may not have a candidate for the presidency, but does it mean that they are all gone? Is it dead? So they are playing, they are strategizing for a stake within the next government. If you remember, if you had the deputy chairman of the party, he said, we will be in the next government. If you hear some of the Jubilee people say, we shall be in the next government. That means quite a lot. That reads quite a lot. So people cannot just leave because the presidency or the candidate is out. They want to have a stake. Maybe we don't know what role they will play. The current president is not the candidate in 2022, but he is in Kenya. He is living in Kenya. He has a political following. He has a stake. He has a team. You can't leave them out in any fashion for the next government. So they are strategizing how they will play their game, what stake will remain after Uhuru is gone, and who will be. And then the other thing is, at the moment the big person moves, they'll be struggling for the position. In Central, we are seeing it. After Raila, we shall see. Now you see quiet, but after Raila, somebody will come up to say, let me lead. And that is where the politics really comes. So I see a movement of Jubilee working on a strategy that they are not left out completely. If they were still with Mheshimiwa William Ruto, they would be assured. You can see, but half of them are not sure that they will be assured of some stake and some position. If you remember 2017, some of the strong candidates in Central Province did not win. Why? Because they were not in the team of Dr. William Ruto. So people are looking for those intricacies. The president will not be there, Uhuru will not be there, but where shall I be? And those who are out would like to come back. Those who are in would like to hang on. It's really serious matter. To some people, it's a matter of life and death. You see our politics. You can see the skirmishes that were there in Kiambaa yesterday or the day before yesterday. These are signs that the 2022 campaigns will be hot and will be not on issues. I can't see issues coming out, but I can see a lot of personalities. I can see a lot of these skirmishes. If you can be able to have a Photoshop and say so made so and so, and they didn't meet. You know, this digital world is very interesting. I want to give you one point my friend has mentioned about the youth. My analysis: every party has youth, and every party has a message for both the youth and the elderly. So when it comes to really the tire meeting the road, every institution will have its youth, and we better have a platform. If you're talking about economic development of the youth, the ODM is having a strategy for the youth. WIPA has a statement for the youth. So it depends on how you sell this message, this economic because I like to say, my friend has said, it is based on economic and empowerment issue. You can say, but how can you show it? And then Uhuru and the other team have an advantage. They have a whole year to demonstrate that actually they can focus on the youth. This is the advantage of having the government on your side. These projects that are coming, they are also mentioning these projects to provide jobs for our people. So the other people must come with a scenario that defeats that one. Otherwise, somebody halfway next year will say, look at the project that I've done. Look at the people that have been employed. We are addressing the youth also. So it's a very interesting scenario that is coming. And we shall see quite a lot.
We shall see quite a lot. Daniel, let me just bring you in here. Somebody said that the kind of move that is being happening, that we are seeing right now, is deliberate. One, somebody would assume that, not somebody would assume, ODM leader Raila Odinga has numbers. Jubilee, as a coalition as well, will also come with the numbers. Should Deputy President William Ruto be afraid of that?
I think Well, the tyranny of numbers has been touted by Mutahi Ngunyi as one of the critical cog.
And could this be the reason why the two parties are coming together?
Yeah, because some time ago we talked about the importance of every political player bringing on numbers on board and becoming a bargaining tool, because numbers matter in politics. It's about voting. And numbers and resources are very critical in politics. But let's look at it this way. If the reason as to why numbers are needed is simply because, as currently constituted, as currently mentioned in our constitution, National Assembly plays a very critical role in terms of making decisions, and decisions are based on voting. And therefore it bequeaths a governing party to have strength in numbers in both houses, including even the county assemblies. If you look at the last aggregates within the numbers, Jubilee as a party was leading in numbers in all the houses to the MCAs, followed by ODM as a party, not as NASA, ODM as a party, and then Wiper and ANC and the rest. So, like I said, it's critical that the discussion, I think the basis, the bedrock of discussion of a coalition agreement between Jubilee and ODM, one of the critical things is to marshal numbers, and that would be, assume the numbers I'm talking about here is ODM leader Raila Odinga got 7 point something million votes in the last election, and Uhuru Kenyatta in the last election got the president some around 8 point something million, and these numbers have not somehow tilted, not so much. Well, I think they have. I think for Uhuru Kenyatta, because it was Jubilee Party was the other parties that were folded. You remember out 12 that were folded to form Jubilee as a party.
Alliance.
So the assumption is that the numbers that critically came in for Jubilee was numbers that were marshaled by all these political parties, URP included. But now you have seen the proponents of URP drifted away, and also were joined by sections of Central Kenya, some of the Central Kenya, Mount Kenya, adherents, and that significantly, we can assume that significantly tilted the numbers. So we can add into the negative -2 when it comes to Jubilee Party. For ODM, the same, because ODM, I think, could be minimal. One of the things that I said is that the NASA coalition were very clever in terms of their discussion, in that they didn't require the political parties to unfold and form a party, but they had a coalition agreement. In that sense, therefore, it means that ODM remains, and it's able to independently marshal itself, being a member of NASA. The same to Wiper, the same to Ford Kenya, the same to ANC. And therefore, the numbers that ODM got, we would assume that they are not really much tilted, because Honorable Raila Odinga received a support, much of it, based on his candidature. You understand? Being a candidate of ODM, but also being supported on a coalition. So this is what I think, even as we discuss the numbers between Jubilee and ODM, the other factor would be the critical role the imagery of the state brings in, the imagery of Uhuru Kenyatta. As a president. I like what Amisi said, that he understands that his term ends, the second constitutional term ends, and we said that we cannot really 100% say that he is done, because here we have constitutional amendment processes that gives a broad-based negotiation basis, if at all is going to pass. In that, President Kenyatta constitutionally cannot run as a president. But other options are open to him. You understand? Other options are open to him. So I think that is also within the jostling of Jubilee Party. And the critical thing, Victor, the straw that will break the camel's back for all of them, for both Ruto and all these handshake partners, is the big question of the running mate.
Thank you. On that note, let's take a break, and when we come to continue this discussion, but of course, let's talk about the Ukambani tour.
Yes.
You know, at some point, Raila Odinga said that he was not going to address.
Yes.
He said, no, that was not his position. He didn't want to speak. And then later on, he spoke, and it was just fun. There's nothing much, really. But it made some politicians quite uneasy during that president's tour in Ukambani.
Yes.
Let's discuss that when we come back after this particular break. Stay around.
Be sure, check out for a KDIC sticker in your banking hall. KDIC, protecting your deposits. The lush pasture in the north will be the new home for these 10,000 warhorses.
The man you want me to get rid of would be Prince Jin, correct?
Although he may suspect me somewhat, now our priority is to ease all of his suspicions.
Quiero amarte de una forma diferente, de otro modo.
Please tell me the truth before I go crazy. Even if Juliana tells me that she's okay, I know that there's something wrong. I just know it. This coffee field has the plague.
No. That is not something that can't be fixed.
Don't you try and fool me, Ulysses.
I would never do that.
I would like for her and Jose to go and live in my house.
What? You want Genoveva and Jose to live in the same house where you lived with me and my mother?
Something has happened in the Star Zone.
Why? What happened?
It's on fire.
What?
De una forma diferente, de otro modo, nunca igual al de otra gente.
Things are getting.
All right. Okay. Let's just get this discussion going. All right. We'll get to sort out. Doreen's microphone is not that okay, and we'll sort that out pretty fast and then get back to that. I want my cameraman to zoom in here. There is this photo here of. If you can get this photo, if you can get this one clearly, thank you. That one is Jimmy Wanjigi. Okay, there's the camera. There you have it. That is Jimmy Wanjigi there posing for a photo wearing an ODM or Orange Democratic Movement scarf. And there is written fearless. All right, fearless. And we have got ODM, we have got Orange. There you have it. And it's 2022 branded JW, that is Jimmy Wanjigi. This one already puts so many things into so many questions. Remember, he said that he's been part of the kingmaker. He's been a kingmaker in the past, and right now he's also coming out very strongly as a candidate. Let me start with you, Hamisi Boga. Perhaps you've not seen that video, and if you've seen it, we have got a photo of Jimmy Wanjigi standing there, ready to go with, his two hands clenched together and having that big smile and a scarf of ODM written "Fearless." Jimmy Wanjigi, JW 2022. Wow.
You want to comment on that?
Yes, let's go ahead. Yes.
To comment on the court proceedings without breaking the law.
You're right.
We know Constitutional Court is preparing a report.
Yes.
And the process in Kenya will be shaped by the results of this court.
Yes.
If the people who want the change succeed, then they have a bargaining chip. That is why I said these formations will be based on, after August we shall know, based on stakes. If not, then they need another strategy. Now that we didn't win, that we are not going to have those positions to share. What is the other? So I think people are playing around it. After the end of August, we shall see a way forward in terms of this. And also I can see those people who are opposing that thing to benefit, because if it is a law, then they also have to have a team and say, now that it is a law, we can also have some places. So they will also have a bargaining fee. I can see a lot of things coming. Let's go back to maybe my perception about Mheshimiwa Wanjigi.
Yes.
Mheshimiwa Wanjigi has been active politically and also very supportive to the ODM team. Now that one time there was we saw a perception of friction between him and the president, but now that the president and the ODM leader are together, Wanjigi is also there. There is a chance of a possibility of having a running mate from Central Province. If it is so, who can come? Who can be a possible candidate supported by both Uhuru and Raila?
Yes.
I'm looking around, and his name is coming up. It may not be the only name is coming up as a possible running mate for the NASA team. If they are not together, and if the law has passed, it doesn't have to be a running mate, because there could be many running mates, but there will be a number of positions that Mheshimiwa Wanjigi can fit in preparation for his future engagements, if any.
Yes.
So he has been playing active role, and he has the muscles. We are talking about the political muscles. We are talking about financial muscles. The next elections will be played on that platform of muscles, financial muscles, mobilization muscles, and political muscles in terms of messages. These messages of digital are created and can be found. You can employ 100 people to do the digital. You need money. You need those resources. So I can see a lot of advantages of him coming up now. So some people can see, he's around. So if you want to strategize, you have to know that Jimmy is coming.
The question yes, it's quite interesting, Hamisi. Even as I bring Daniel here, most of the candidates in ODM party have always said, I'm going for the top seat. Talk of Oparanya, talk of Joho, and the governors. Everybody has been going for the top seat. They didn't say that, it's my time. Nobody has been angling for being the running mate of ODM Raila Odinga, including Jimmy Wanjigi, who is now saying that he's been a kingmaker, and now he's ready to also to be the king. So Hamisi has raised a very important question here, that his name is being spoken right now. He's appeared. So what kind of position and role do you think Jimmy Wanjigi, apart from being the president, do you really think he can decide and say, okay, fine, I can't be the running mate?
Well,
it's quite interesting though.
Yeah, I think when I saw the entrance of Jimmy Wanjigi, that complicated the matrix of, the possibility of, the wide casting of looking for a running mate.
Yeah.
Because, again, we will say here on record that it's quite interesting if BBI could have passed, because it opened a broad-based positions for negotiation.
Yes.
The only complication is that if it fails to pass, and therefore that leaves prospects so low for people who really want to look for jostling for position that would come in the next government. Every politician is very prospective about who will be in the next government.
Yes.
Any calculation, be it from a member of county assembly way back, way up to the presidential candidates. Everybody want to associate with who they think will be in the government.
Yeah.
And therefore, that subsequently usher them into the government. So, but by going for those positions, you don't go to negotiating table. Like I keep on saying, you don't go there as just, as low as
you must have some muscles.
You must have some muscles. And I agree with what you're talking about, and Rosa Missy said.
Yeah.
That mention those that have announced their bid.
Yeah.
Justin Muturi, coming into this equation not only as a speaker, but as a de facto spokesperson, prospect of a spokesperson of Central Kenya, and and the one who the whole of governors from Mount Kenya East are lending an ear to. So that in itself has already marketed him as prospect, as somebody who will be there in the negotiating table. Wanjigi is equally thinking that apart from him being the kingmaker in 2013 and being another one, the failed one in 2017, he cannot sit pretty, and just be kingmaker without, having to go to the to this negotiating table.
Right.
Whether he offers resources, whether he offers financial muscle, or whether he also offers an advisory, he must proceed to this table, this cake, as an individual there. And for him to do that is to declare. But also, something you've mentioned that is very interesting. All these people who are declared that they would face the Right Honorable Raila Odinga in the nomination, in ODM, for a presidential candidate, ticket, their voices are either withered. As we proceed, they have either cede to the ground and agree to negotiate for other position. In one way or the other, I think there is a hand that's intervening, for
silently from some quarters
for these people, to go to a negotiating table, but to not provide a threat as a presidential candidate. You understand? There is something, because anybody who's declared, and I think for Justin Muturi is slowly withering. We had Mukisa Kitui, who has also declared that he's going for a president. So I think, this is what I think, that is important, that even as we proceed to the formation of these alliances, each and every political bigwigs, each and every political, sponsor of any political discourse would want to go to this table as a prospective one who really wants to see as an equal partner.
Okay.
Don't forget that Nairobi has no governor as we speak. And Wanjigi and all other people who are proceeding to march forward as prospective presidential candidate, there could be a discussion for them to cede ground and consider Nairobi.
Let me ask you this question, Daniel. We only just have 5 minutes. Let me ask this question. Then what does Jimmy Wanjigi's now entrance into this political cycle now have on one, Raila Odinga, Honorable Raila Odinga, the governors Joho and Oparanya, and any other person who had declared his interest in the ODM party ticket?
It complicates the whole issue, because all these political party stalwarts and second-term governors, you want to have a negotiation with ODM for a position to stick on a position. And when they are going to endorse the handshake candidate, let me tell you, what is already, I can say without contradicting myself, that the presidential ticket for the handshake candidate is already settled. That is one thing I can clearly tell you. What is happening right now is back and forth concerning the positions of those who are not able to make it to presidential candidate and prospective candidates for a running mate. I think the whole of discussion therefore settles. And as we proceed now, I think for the second term governors, the reason as to why all these second term governors would want to push for constitutional amendment, I highly doubt because of the timeline, is simply because, like I said, it offers a political settlement. Because as things currently stands, it would be very difficult for any political, outfits to promise any position, because the space is so limited right now. The position is so limited. But again, don't rule it out, because the government of the day has a number of opportunities, has a number of appointive positions. So these basically brings into equation, it upsets the political equation for ODM. But also on the flip side, it strengthened Orange Democratic Movement, because like 2007, as they were proceeding for 2007 elections, there was a democratic process in terms of electing and delegates electing who is a prospective candidate for Orange Democratic Party. I think that strengthened the party further.
Exactly. All right. Let me just bring you here, Ms. Mboga, even as you give your final remarks, because now we are already stuck for time. What is your final remark? We have got, 2022 political scene is going to be an interesting one. Between now and December, it's going to be an interesting one. Your closing remarks, Hamisi.
My closing remarks are based on 2 points. One, if the law passes, the reform law passes, there's a bigger chance for people to coalesce and also discuss on positions or stakes or whatever. Two, if it doesn't, new strategies must come in to salvage those people who are second-term governors and those who are coming in. You remember the last meeting in Mombasa, where the ODM party said Joho has done wonderful job, and I want him to go to the national politics platform, not here. But and also after seeing Mheshimiwa Oparanya has also moved down in terms of saying I want to be the president, there must be some negotiations that are coming in to say you may not be the candidate, but these are the opportunities that are coming. And also, if the law passes, you remember, we were told that the ministers at the county level and also national level will come from parliament. So I'm seeing a lot of flashback of some of the leaders. I would rather be an MP and then I'm appointed minister than be out completely. So some of the MPs must wear out, these big shots are coming down, and they're coming with you don't have to lose everything. You have to get a stake and to be there. So these appointments, national government will salvage some of these people. That's why they are aligning themselves to it. And it's going to be a very interesting scenario.
Absolutely. Thank you, Hamisi. Thank you, Daniel. All right. I think that's the right time to bring this discussion to an end. And of course, in the next few minutes, we will be crossing over to the IEBC, where the interviewing of the commissioners of the IEBC still continues today. And here at KBC, we'll give you that live proceeding here on Channel 1. My name is Victor Lo. Thank you so much. Daniel Orogo, political commentator, and as well as Hamis Mboga, who is also a political commentator. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. The show, always a pleasure having you. And even you, as a viewer, for always giving me your moment. Thank you so much. Let's do this again tomorrow. My name is Victor Lo. Have a good morning.
Nissan Serena ndio hii, na unaweza kuwa wewe ndio tunapikia simu. Kodi ya Nissan Serena ni NS, alafu kisha kwenye amount ni 50 bob. Hii Nissan Serena tunakupatia na shilingi 50.
Kujiunga na QuickBid ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bidi yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bidi yako pia kwenye www.quickbid.co.ke. Kumbuka, bidi ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio hununua. QuickBid, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
Nataka kwenda boarding school.
Hakuna kwenda boarding school.
Does it include unblocking my card?
Hii bangi yatoka wapi?
Ufikiria nani mwingine anatusumbua siku hizi?
Sasa toka.
Baba amefanya. Mfano wako ungekubali wewe?
Baba niamini mimi najua baada ya hizi utabaki.
Free the dumb so that they can speak. Yeah. Free the dumb. Freedom.
I want you feel the same, so girl, I want you feel the same, so